Happy Friday. I am landing here in your inbox. And what is fascinating is that I'm pre-recording this because I will be in Albania when this drops into your inbox. Thank goodness for scheduling. I really just wanted to not break the habit for myself of showing up. And whilst I schedule it, I'm still showing up, aren't I? And I feel that's important. It's important to show up to the things that you feel are important. And so that is what is happening right now. I'm getting distracted because I can see that my husband is walking towards me and he's wondering what I'm doing. And when I tell him I'm recording Fluckier Friday, it's going to freak him out because he'll see me speaking this on Friday when he's already seen me speak it. How freaky is that? If that doesn't do your head in, I don't know what will. That's called time travel. I'm obsessed with time travel. I'm a massive Doctor Who fan. Incredible. And the newest series in particular. And by newer, I mean it started like in the early 2000s. So it's kind of not new anymore. But it is immensely wonderful. I think I have mentioned this before. I am a little bit obsessed. So anyway, that's going to freak him out. The other thing I did want to speak to is the idea of the narratives that we believe and the stories that we tell and the stories that we read and absorb and the stories that we find out aren't perhaps exactly what they have been trumpeted to be. Of course, I'm talking about The Salt Path, written by Raina Wynn. And what is really fascinating is that I only just recently bought and read this book. And it had been on my radar for a long time. I have spent a lot of time in the UK, particularly in Cornwall, and we have been at least, well, it's probably 3 or 4 times now, and staying for a week at a time, and have driven around there. And so a lot of the places in the book I had been to or had driven through, and what was interesting for me was seeing all of those place names, and I read quickly, and it's not a long book, so I read it and I took it like everyone. I took it at face value. There are some questions that popped up, and I must say I did in the middle of the book kind of look up Raina Wynn on Instagram to see if Moth was still alive or had I missed his obituary. That was pretty much all I did in terms of that, and I just enjoyed the journey. I'm a map lover, so I love Doctor Who and I love maps. I have many maps on my wall at home, and I enjoy maps, and that was something that I bonded with over my husband, actually. It was my love of maps. But the idea of the stories that you tell, and do they get away from you? Is it something, I mean, obviously there's a due diligence on behalf of the publishers and all of that. There are people who know way more about that than me. But what I do know about are stories and storytelling. And is the story that you're telling, is it yours? Has it shaped your life? And can you rewrite it? And I'm wondering if this is what happened. I mean, obviously she embezzled money. I mean, there's a whole lot. There's a whole lot of backstory to this particular Salt Path, but I'm talking in general about storytelling and what we believe and how we can relate that to our own lives, the stories that we tell. Do you tell stories to yourself about yourself? Like, I can't do this, or this isn't me, or, that's not how I roll. And can that be changed? It can't always. Maybe it can't. But I still think that the question and curiosity needs to be there, that you're asking, are these the questions that I am holding? Are they the questions, or are they questions that have been imposed by me? Or are they questions that that have been passed down? Is it something from my past, from my childhood? Because I've had realizations like that in the work that I have been doing on myself. And I don't like to call it work. It's just being curious. I'm curious about how I work and operate and move through the world. So I came to some realizations, and it feels like quite late in my life, but obviously, as my dear, now long departed grandfather said when he was 89, everybody looks young from this point. So I reached the, late stages of my 40s and had realizations about stories that had been told about me as a child, and not even about me. One of the realizations was that my sister is really sensitive, and she is. And I had internalized that to mean that I'm not. And it wasn't like anyone said, "You're not sensitive, you're like a brick." No one said that. But in my own interpretation of her being sensitive was, I'm not sensitive, because, you have to be opposites, don't you? You don't, but that's how you internalize those things. So that was a fascinating kind of story that I've managed to completely rewrite. I'm incredibly sensitive, cry at the drop of a hat, feel the energy in a whole room, and I'm often feeling energies that I don't know what to do with, and I'm getting way, way better at that, at managing that with a whole range of tools that I've collated. So, that is the path to flocking flourishing, isn't it? It's about questioning, it's being curious, it's perhaps rewriting the stories that we carry with us. And I think, Sally Walker and Tim, who are their real names, will have some rewriting of the stories to do, perhaps even the publisher. And I feel for people who really read the book and took solace from it, because obviously they were writing about things that weren't real and weren't happening, which of course you can have a disclaimer, based on true events. They do it in the films. I have recently, and maybe I posted about it before, look, I'm blaming menopause, honestly. I rock up, I have a vague idea of what I'm going to say to you guys, and then it all just goes to hell because I start rambling. But I did read Gina Chick's We Are the Stars, and that book has stayed with me far longer than The Salt Path. I read it, I just basically put The Salt Path down and went straight into Gina Chick's memoir. It's a memoir too. And it was just fucking incredible, honestly. I loved it so much that it just eclipsed The Salt Path. So yeah, the fallout of that will be going on. Maybe it'll be a fallout from a memoir, but I hope not, because I have been, and this has been hanging with me. I'm going to be writing it. I've written and put some stuff together, and it's memoir, but not perhaps as you maybe think of it. So that is me. I'm just currently watching a spider, a tiny little one, crawl onto my drink bottle. I don't really want it in the hole because that would mean it would go into my mouth. So let's stop there. Have a fantastic weekend. I will be in Albania with my son. It's going to be hot. I'll let you know how it went next week. I might not be around on the app much. So anyway, send me fun things that are happening in your life. Let me know about the stories that you've been telling yourself that perhaps you want to change and rewrite. You are the director of your life, as my dear friend Whit reminds me of. And I will actually drop a link to something that she's offering too. She's fabulous. My dear podcast crime, I don't even know what I'm saying now. My podcastering, no, it doesn't make sense. My podcast co-host. And I also am looking for guests because I'm starting a fucking flourishing one, so I'll drop that in here as well. But have a great Friday. Have a great weekend, and I will see you very soon. Blue sky. I'm going to go for a swim now. Yay!